Hi, ladies. My name is Remy, and I'm a dietitian, and I work for the Minnesota Vikings. And what does that mean? Well, it means that I love food, and I love working with food and looking at how does food play a role in our body, and more specifically, how does it affect athletes like yourself when they perform, or maybe when they're sidelined due to injury or sickness. And so today, I want to bring you through a lesson that talks about basics of nutrition and the different food groups that we have. And so, if I share my screen, I'm going to walk you through what you guys have probably seen, which is called Choose My Plate. And Choose My Plate is very, very fun. When I was an athlete growing up like yourself, I remembered this plate. And the reason why I like it so much is because I can remember this plate, whether I'm eating breakfast at the breakfast table, or if I'm eating lunch with my friends, or if I'm at dinner eating lunch with my family. And what you can see with the My Plate is that there are 5 food groups. You have fruits, grains, vegetables, proteins, and dairy. So those 5 food groups are what give us energy for our body. And the reason why there are different food groups is because they do different things in our body and they provide us with different nutrients. Now, there are 2 different types of nutrients. First, we have our macronutrients. Macronutrients, what I want you to think of with those is that it gives us energy for our body, meaning it's like fuel to a car or it's like gas to a fire, right? It gets us going. It helps our muscles to move. It helps us to go faster and it helps us to get stronger. And so, those 3 different macronutrients are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Now, I want you to think of building a fire. I know, bear with me a little bit. So, if you're building a fire, what does the little sticks and the leaves, what do those do for a fire? Right? If you go and you go to light that fire up with those leaves and sticks and little branches, right? That fire is going to go very fast, right? It's going to light up, but it's going to die down really quickly. I want you to think of carbohydrates like that in your body, right? So there it's like leaves and little sticks, right? If you eat carbohydrates, your energy is going to go up really quickly, but it might not last very long. Now, think of that fire again and think about what would happen if you had big logs on the fire, right? Big logs, right? You can't just light it up, right? It won't start. But if you have that big log and then you have those little branches and sticks, right? Now you have a really good fire. Those big logs are protein, right? It helps the fire go longer, but it doesn't help us to start that fire. Now, fats. Unfortunately, I like to think of fats as a long energy source, but almost think about it like sand to a fire, especially when you're working out. Fats aren't going to give us that energy that we need very instantaneously or right away. Now, the other type of nutrients that these food groups provide are micronutrients. Micronutrients, although they don't give us energy, they help start and release the energy. So think about micronutrients like matches to that fire, right? The types of micronutrients that we will take a look at are vitamins and minerals. So each of these food groups, it's very important, as you can see, that you have the different balance. And balance mean you see the portions, right? Fruits make up the almost a little less of a quarter of the plate. The vegetables make up a little bit more than a quarter. Then you have grains making up a little bit more than a quarter, and protein making up a little bit less than a quarter. And then you have that dairy, right? So that little balance, right? What we talk about is that each of those food groups have their different parts in the plate, and you don't want too much of those. Now, vitamins and minerals are going to be in each parts of those food groups, and so are those macronutrients. So let's take a look. As you can see, the macronutrients, let me go back. Macronutrients, again, are protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Now they add in fiber because it's not really a macronutrients, but it is important that we make sure that we get enough of fiber, and we'll talk about that one. So protein, again, like logs to a fire, it gives us energy. It keeps that energy going long, but we don't want to make up a lot of our energy out of protein. Why? Because it helps us to build and maintain healthy muscles, and it gives your body that energy in the long run. Where you will find protein in those food groups are the dairy, so the milk and the yogurt, chicken, beef, nuts, eggs, peanut butter, and seeds. Now, carbohydrates, those that sticks to the fire and those leaves to the fire, that gives your body energy. It is the primary energy source for your brain and your body. Where do we find carbohydrates in our food groups? Well, we find them in the pasta, cereal, bread, beans, popcorn, and rice. Now, fats, again, sand to the fire, but it does give us energy when we are going for a long, long period of time. It gives our body that energy, but it helps us also to absorb certain nutrients. Not to mention, fat is a protector of our body, right? In case we fall or in case we're really cold, fat helps us to help that fall, but it also helps us to stay warm. We will find fat in whole milk, full fat cheese, avocado, oils, and salmon. And fiber is going to be found in apples, corn, whole grains, berries, avocado. And what it does is it helps us to digest food in our body, and it helps us to keep us regularly going to the bathroom. So it is important that we get enough fiber, and we try to aim for as much fiber as we can in a day and spread it out in our meals. Now, the micronutrients, you can see there are a variety of micronutrients, but you can see here a certain few, and those are very important to athletes such as yourself. So we have vitamin A that keeps our eyes and skin healthy, vitamin C that heals cuts and bruises, vitamin D helps us build strong bones and teeth, as well as calcium. Vitamin E helps protect our cells. B vitamins helps cells function properly. Iron keeps your blood healthy. Potassium helps nerves and muscles to function, and magnesium helps the heart stay healthy. Specifically, we don't have on here, but sodium, potassium, magnesium, those are electrolytes in our body. And when we talk about hydration in our other lecture to come, it is important that we get those so our body can regulate our temperature when we are going through activity. And this is why you sweat. So all in all, I want you to remember a few things when you're eating for your activity. Remember that plate. Remember that there's balance on that plate, meaning you're going to eat all 5 of those food groups. But not only that, you're going to look at those food groups on the plate and make sure you're getting the vegetables in the right amount, the protein in the right amount, the grains in the right amount, the fruit in the right amount, and you're saving room for that dairy. But also within those food groups, we want to have variety. We don't just want to eat salmon and beans for our protein, but we also want to have turkey and chicken and dairy, right? We don't just want to have green vegetables. We want to have orange and red and blue and purple and white, right? Onions. It's important that we eat all those colors because those colors have different things in them that help support our body and help to release that energy. And then last but not least, as an athlete, it is very important that you stay consistent with your meals and you're not skipping. You want to eat 3 meals a day. That includes breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you want to have maybe 1 to 2 snacks, especially if you are playing football that day, or maybe you're being very active with your family that day, right? It's very important that we eat 3 meals at least. It is very important for activity and body and help us to grow stronger. And so with that, athletes, that concludes the first lesson, which talks about those food groups and the nutrients that are involved in those food groups. So stay with me. I hope you continue on with the next few lessons.